Let's talk about freedom. Not the kind they write about in laws or sell through advertisements. I'm talking about inner freedom. The kind you earn the moment you stop caring about what was never yours to carry. The opinions, the expectations, the pressure to impress, to belong, to achieve by someone else's standards. You weren't born to be agreeable. You weren't born to please the crowd. You were born to live, fully, wildly, and unapologetically. But somewhere along the way, they taught you to be small, to dim your fire, to be polite, even when your soul screamed no. This video is your reminder that not giving AFK kinks isn't about being careless. It's about caring deeply, but only for what truly matters. Every time you bite your tongue just to be liked, you're handing over a piece of your authenticity. Every time you scroll through endless opinions, searching for validation, you're leaking energy. And every time you hesitate to act out of fear of judgment, you're shrinking your potential. You think you're being safe. What you're really doing is building a cage around your soul. The truth is, you do give a fuck about too many things, too many people, too many outcomes you can't control, and it's exhausting. They've trained you to believe that caring is noble, and yes, compassion is strength, but misplaced compassion, that's a silent killer. You cannot save the world if you're drowning in its noise. So the first step is noticing the leak. What are you giving your energy to? What are you feeding with your attention, your worry, your constant overthinking? Because here's the secret no one tells you. Most of the things you care about don't matter. Not really. Not in 5 years. Not to your soul. And when you realize that, the power starts to return to you. There's a moment in life. It comes like a whisper, or sometimes like thunder, when you realize you've been performing for an invisible audience, smiling when you're breaking inside, nodding when you want to scream, saying yes when your whole body begs you to say no. That isn't kindness. That isn't peace. That's self-abandonment dressed up as politeness. They told you not to be selfish, so you became a version of yourself that people could tolerate, a softer version, a more agreeable version, a quieter version. But deep inside, the real you never stopped fighting for oxygen. Here's the thing. Choosing not to care about what doesn't align with your truth isn't selfish. It's sacred. You aren't here to be liked by everyone. You're here to be real, to be whole, to be you. Because when you stop caring about the wrong things, your life simplifies in the most powerful way. You start walking lighter. You stop overthinking every step. You speak and move with a kind of conviction that only comes from someone who knows their worth isn't up for negotiation. You stop showing up out of guilt. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop pouring your energy into places that treat it like it's disposable. It doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you love them from a grounded place, a place where your identity doesn't depend on their approval. You stop saying yes to avoid discomfort and start saying no as a radical act of self-respect. This is clarity. This is peace. And it begins the moment you choose to care less, but with more intention. So if you've ever been told you're becoming distant, cold, or disconnected, don't let that guilt trap pull you back. You're not becoming colder, you're becoming clearer. And the people who truly love you, they'll understand that. There is a hidden tax on caring too much. Not money, but energy, time, sanity. And it's one you've probably been paying for years without realizing it. You care what they think, so you rewrite the message 20 times. You wear the mask, you shrink your truth, you silence your needs. You rehearse conversations in your head just to avoid imaginary disapproval. All this effort, and for what? to win approval from people who forget your name when they close the app, to maintain peace in relationships that drain you of life, to avoid the discomfort of simply being seen. That's the trap. You begin by wanting to be understood, and you end up becoming unrecognizable to yourself. And here's the truth no one likes to admit. No matter how careful you are, someone will still misunderstand you. Someone will still criticize you. Someone will still twist your words or question your intentions. So what's the point in constantly watering yourself down? The more you care about being liked, the less you'll be respected. Because people don't admire perfection, they admire authenticity. And the price of being real is that not everyone will clap for you. But their silence doesn't mean you're wrong. Their distance doesn't mean you're lost. Their disapproval doesn't mean you're broken. Sometimes it's just proof that you're no longer willing to pay the cost of constant self-sacrifice. The people who demand that you shrink are the ones who benefited from your smallness. Let them be uncomfortable, because your peace is not worth sacrificing to keep someone else comfortable in their illusions. So let go. Let go of the idea that your worth is determined by applause. Let go of the fear that being misunderstood is a failure. Let go of the lie that says you have to earn love by betraying yourself. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply not care. Not out of spite, not out of arrogance, but because your energy is sacred and you're finally done spending it on things that don't nourish your soul. There's a quiet power that lives in people who've stopped begging for permission. They walk differently, not with arrogance, but with peace. Not with noise, but with presence. Because when you finally stop giving a f about the wrong things, you start giving a f about the right ones. You start showing up for your own life. You stop apologizing for your voice. You stop watering yourself down to be digestible. And instead, you become magnetic. Because authenticity is rare. And people are starving for what's real. The world tries to convince you that caring too much is virtue. But too often, it's a cage. A way to keep you obedient, quiet, afraid to upset the status quo. But what if the very thing you're afraid to disturb was the very thing keeping you small? Letting go doesn't mean becoming careless. It means becoming clear. Clear about who deserves your energy. Clear about what aligns with your truth. Clear about what kind of life you're no longer willing to tolerate. Because freedom isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the soft decision to just stop explaining yourself. To live in such a way that your existence becomes the only answer you ever need. And that's when things begin to shift. You attract people who resonate with your truth, not your mask. You gain time, energy, and clarity you didn't know you were missing. You make decisions faster, trust your intuition deeper, and stop second-guessing your every move. When you let go of needing to be liked, you finally start to love yourself. And that's when the world begins to meet you differently. Because now you meet yourself differently. There is a weight you don't realize you're carrying until you put it down. The need to be liked, the fear of disappointing others, the endless pressure to prove something to someone, somewhere. You've been dragging this invisible baggage behind you for so long. You've mistaken it for your identity. But here's the paradox. The more you try to control how others see you, the less control you actually have. Because their perception of you was never yours to manage in the first place. When you let go, when you stop performing, stop apologizing for existing, stop censoring the real you, something remarkable happens. You don't fall, you rise. You rise because you no longer need to shrink to fit their mold. You rise because you finally stop asking for permission. You rise because you're no longer drained by the endless performance of pretending to be okay. Letting go isn't giving up. It's giving yourself back. This is the turning point where people mistake you for arrogant, distant, heartless. But they don't understand that you've simply chosen peace over approval, that you've chosen freedom over control. You don't owe the world your energy. You owe it to yourself to be whole. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've learned to care selectively, intentionally, and with boundaries. And the ones who truly see you, they'll rise with you. Everyone else will fade into the noise you stopped listening to. The world wants you to apologize for existing in your most authentic form, for your quirks, for your opinions, for your boundaries, for the way you choose to live life. They'll call you selfish, stubborn, or difficult, and in their eyes, you'll be too much, or not enough. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an apology for choosing to be yourself. No one else gets to decide who you are or how you show up in the world. When you stop apologizing for your truth, you begin to realize something powerful. The right people will never ask you to change who you are. The right opportunities will never require you to shrink. And the right life will never ask you to dim your light. You'll stop living with the constant fear of offending, failing, or disappointing others, because you've realized that trying to please everyone is a game you can never win. When you live unapologetically, you create space for the people and experiences that align with your energy. And that is the most freeing thing you can do for yourself. When you truly let go of the burden of people's expectations, you step into a new realm of freedom. A realm where your worth isn't tied to anyone's approval. A realm where the only thing that matters is your ability to stay true to yourself, regardless of the noise around you. And that is the art of not giving a fuck. It's not about being careless or reckless. It's about being intentional, selective, and focused on your own path. You're no longer playing by anyone else's rules, and you're no longer held back by fear, because you've learned that true success is not defined by how much you achieve, but by how deeply you can trust and honor who you really are. So as you step into this new phase, remember, the more you care about your own journey, the less you'll be affected by what others think. And that's where your true power lies.